Welcome to the Marketing on the Move podcast, hosted by the Breezy Company, your go-to resource to master your marketing while juggling all of the demands of being a business owner. We understand that your time is a limited resource and marketing might be the last thing on your priority list right now. Our mission is to provide you with tangible insights and actionable tactics into the latest marketing trends, best practices, and strategies that you can implement no matter how busy you are. Each episode is designed to offer practical advice on leveraging your unique business strengths and efficiently managing your marketing strategy. Whether you're tuning in during your morning commute, between meetings, or while on the run, Marketing on the Move is here to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in marketing, even when your schedule is packed. Join us for a journey into making the most of your marketing efforts, no matter how busy you are.
Well, I thank you guys for inviting me to do a podcast with you guys. This is my very first podcast, so
he acts like he's not a partner in the same company that we're partners. Like we're not.
Well, you guys are the cool kids that started first, and now I'm joining in. I had to go speak.
You're like, who's this guy?
Who's this guy? So I'm Steve Soto, and I am a partner at Breezy Sites, a division of the Breezy Company, and we do website maintenance. And I got with me my partners, Josh and Savannah. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
The topic that I was prompted by Savannah to talk about, because I can pontificate on a lot of web stuff, is why does my website need ongoing maintenance? And honestly, when I'm talking to customers, they ask that all the time. Well, why is Breezy Sites a subscription service? Because, you got to give your website love all the time. Unfortunately, most people give their website love when it's brand new. They get everyone's opinion. Hey, they share it out. Take a look at it. Tell me what you think. They're constantly editing in the beginning. And then they get busy with work again. And the website doesn't get updated, or maybe they don't know how to update it because they had someone from the outside build it in the first place.
I've had this conversation more times than I'd like to, but my favorite things that have happened is I've had a client hire me. I just logged into their back end to see what it even looks like, and the whole thing broke.
Yep.
And he called me and he goes like, it hasn't broken 5 years. What? It was like, there was something about me even logging in that like.
Well, it's very interesting. Sometimes you can log into a system, and depending upon who the hosting provider is, it can initiate automatic updates. The problem with automatic updates is that sometimes something breaks because it's updating software from a bunch of different places, and many times they don't even know who each other is. So if you logged in and he hasn't logged in 5 years, there may have been a little thing at the top of the screen that says, "Oh, glad you're back. We're going to update everything now." So,
Yeah, I don't. The other things I'm trying to think of things that I've run into. It's very common that I'll hear randomly from a client I had 10 years ago, and all the thing will say is, "My site's down. Will you fix it?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to even remember who they are because we haven't talked in 10 years.
Yep.
And they're sitting there freaking out as if I was waiting for their call. I'm glad you called.
Yep. For many years, I supported major metropolitan cities' web efforts. And, over the years, I'd gotten access to a lot of websites, a lot of back-end stuff at AWS and all that. And then the contractor that I had been working for lost the contract. But they kept calling me. They're like, "Steve, I said, well, I don't even have access." "No, we never deleted your credentials. You still have access." And I'm like, that's really bad practice, guys. That is news I do not want to hear. So,
as a business owner, I was just going to say, as a business owner, and we all are business owners in this group, and we're mostly talking to business owners, I would assume, I get the pain of like, I spent all this time building this great website. I spent all this money. I just want it done. Because business owners don't care about marketing. The vast majority don't. They just want it to work. They want their website to function. They just want it to all just do it. Just like make it work.
To fall from the sky.
Yes, I get it. Even though we own a marketing company, like I truly get it. But I've heard Steve say it this way so many times. So this is how I repeat it to our clients and to our leads. It is the equivalent of never getting an oil change. If you don't have website maintenance, it is the equivalent of riding around for 15,000 miles. You never take it to the Jiffy Lube. You never rotate the tires. You never do anything. And then when it craps out on the highway, you're like, what? Like, I've not had any problems. Well, you haven't done anything to prevent them either.
It would almost be like getting mad at Ford and be like, I can't believe Ford made this car.
Unbelievable.
They should fix it for me.
They should. And, no offense, but it's your fault because you didn't do the basic maintenance that is needed to keep a vehicle functioning. People don't understand, still today, do not understand that that's how websites work. They think, oh, you just build it once, it's good to go. Yeah, I might want to go change out the pictures here and there, or I might want to change a little bit of language, or, oh, we added a service, we should go add that. But all those things are true, and we can get into the design and all of that to make it look fresh, but it's going to break. Bottom line, like even if it looks like crap, it's going to eventually break also if you're not doing consistent maintenance.
I'm always surprised by the number of times I have a conversation and someone says, oh yeah, we need you to take down this page. And they tell me, we haven't done that in 3 years. That service is not part of us, but we still get phone calls for it, but we don't want any more phone calls. Well, if you'd taken it down 3 years ago, you probably would have gotten a lot fewer phone calls.
Well, I think that's a good segue. So obviously there's things like site care. There's things like speed and making sure the domains connect and all this kind of stuff. But the main reason that you continue want to look at your site as a piece of software, or like my term that I've come to loathe, is that we just have kind of an online brochure. It may be a communication piece, but it's more like a piece of software than it is an online brochure. And so it's one of those things where most likely your business practices change. Maybe your customers, your pitch has changed to your customers, or you found something that actually has been working in sales, and for some reason you never thought that your website customers or that people that are checking you out should be seeing the same thing. It is things like you mentioned, a specific price that you raised, or it's those kind of things. But that's thinking. There's like thinking very defensively, like or reactionary, based on what something had. And then there's like, okay, how am I going to get ahead of these people? These are marketing campaigns that we have coming up. These are different audiences we want to speak to. These are different audiences that we want to market to. And that's really what you should be doing with your site. Kind of like you would with a piece of software, is you begin to iterate as you see what user behavior is. And the only way you can do that is have somebody working on your website.
It reminds me of a poster that used to be in the practice room when I was learning how to play guitar. Poster said that, if you don't practice one day, if you don't practice 2 days, the instructor knows. Yeah. If you don't practice for 3 days, everybody knows. And the websites are a little bit like that. If you don't update them for 1 month, nobody notices. You didn't do updates. And if you don't update them for 3 months, then some of your customers might know because there were prices that hadn't changed, or there's services that you didn't add. By the time you get up to about 6 months of ignoring your website, Google knows for sure and will start lowering your ranking because it hasn't changed. And the whole world will know because you didn't update blog posts. And they're like, where did you guys disappear? I've literally gone to websites and seen 2-year-old posts were the last posts. And
your competition is doing this too.
Yes.
So they're superseding you. So only, it's not just that you're like staying still, like, oh, we ranked, second on the second page, but then we don't add blog posts for 6 months to our site. You don't stay second on the second page. You're now, 15th on the 20th page because everybody else has been doing these best practices and have been doing what they need to do in order to rank. So you're not just staying still, like you're dropping because everybody else is, they're getting on top of you there.
Yeah. And Savannah, can you speak a little bit to if you're doing really, say you just started doing content marketing or some kind of social marketing, but you have not done anything to your site, assuming that it doesn't matter. What does that do to the kind of user behavior that you've seen?
If your goal in any way, shape, or form is to get, let's say you're just doing social media content currently, like you have content marketing perspective, you're not doing anything long form, like you're just trying to build up a social presence. But the goal, I would assume, for just about any brand for the most part, is to get them off of that third-party platform, whatever that social media platform is, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, and you want them to go to your site. You want to get them off of somebody else's land. You want to get them onto yours. You want to get them onto your turf, because that's how you can start to convert them and get them to go down the funnel. Well, guess what happens if your site looks like crap or isn't functioning well or doesn't direct them properly? All that work you did on social media is for naught. Like, there's no point, because now when you tried to get them, and you know how hard it is in actuality, like percentage wise, to get somebody to leave a third party platform where they're already spending time, they already like to be, to get them to leave it. Like, Instagram even goes as far as to say, do you understand that you're leaving Instagram when you click on this link? Like, that's how hard they make it, because they don't want you to leave their platform. That's how they make money. So when you actually get somebody to leave that third party platform and go to your site, it needs to be something great for them to go to. It needs to be valuable. It needs to look great. It needs to actually provide something to them that they were looking for. And if you don't have the functionality of that, or you don't have something to attract them there, they're definitely never coming back again. And you're going to really struggle to actually push traffic to where you want them to be to actually get them to convert.
And that's the visual part of website maintenance. I mean, there's all these things that happen underneath the hood. There's
absolutely
security. There's all of these patches that constantly happen. You have to have this mystical thing called an SSL certificate in order to most browsers to even look at you.
Oh, that's another one. People start missing the SSL and they miss it for 2 years and they didn't know that their site is being blocked.
Blocked.
They didn't know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. One of the worst things you can do too is, okay, so you actually direct them from somewhere to your site and it's a 404. That person is never going to do business with you ever again. They're not even going to consider it. Like, you go to a 404, you're done. Yeah. See ya. Like, and if you don't know what a 404 is, it's an error page.
It's an error page that basically says the content you were looking for isn't in the place you were sent.
Bye. See ya.
Bye. It's like, well, I'm not going to search for it. I already clicked on one link. Why should I go clicking through your entire website?
Pressed one button. I'm not pressing another button. I'm not going to search. Like, you really underestimate the laziness of users in the digital space. They're incredibly lazy, and you have to be able to make it as easy as possible on them. No barriers.
And other things like performance. People will, I built the website, it looks great. And then, they've updated it and they've added stuff. And all of a sudden, the website's really slow. And they don't know why. Well, if you upload an image that's gigantic that you could have printed a billboard on, but you shrunk it down so it fits on the screen, all of that data is still there. And people don't know, we should optimize the images so that they load fast. And little thing I have a client that, they had been updating their website. They had lots of good stuff. And then one day they got a notice from their web provider that the server had crashed. Well, they'd been using a provider that didn't do backups. They had a backup. They had a backup, which was really great. It was 2 years old. And all of that work they'd done in the intervening 2 years was gone. So, you've got to do things that are not visual, that are behind the scenes, like, backing things up.
I think this is the hardest part to get. I had a conversation with somebody recently that was talking about the ROI of having somebody continue to work on your website. And I'm sure there's probably some kind of equation that you could do to figure that exact thing out. But it's not as easy as like pay-per-click advertising or something where you're spending money and you're getting a return and you can actually look at what the difference is. A lot of times what it ends up being is a little bit of brand, which is, how much ROI does your logo return, or how much, or how much does all your design materials. And so it ends up being a little bit of that. What I don't recommend is looking for somebody like Steve, right? When your site goes down. So it's what I've seen is like, I'm basically, it's almost like it's the difference between trying to find a mechanic you never talk to anybody ever, and I don't know if I can trust them, and I don't know who they are, and I don't know if they're good. And I guess I heard from a couple of people and I went and hired them, versus I've been building a relationship for a little while. They kind of know where I want to get. They kind of know what we've been doing. They'll be able to say, well, we just rotated the tires. We'll be able to do that. But it's a combination of trust, and it's also being on the offensive, where it's like knowing where you want to go. It's knowing where the rules that Google has changed. They're changing them all the time. It's understanding those things and then having somebody on your team who's in charge of knowing those things all the time and always working on it.
Exactly. I have done emergency recoveries, and they're very expensive. And they're never fast enough, because it's the, how do I get in? What are the credentials? Where's your backup? What did you use to back up? I mean, there's this million questions before you actually get to fixing the system. And it's frustrating. But if you've got someone who's already a relationship and they know where all of the tools are and they know everything, then it's very easy to get things fixed quickly. Even today, we had a client that called up and says, my website's slow all of a sudden. And we looked at it, and there wasn't a really good reason other than the fact that the hosting provider had a lot of activity on them. So we boosted up their level of server, and lo and behold, we went from 5 seconds loading to it flashed onto the screen. So if I hadn't had that existing ongoing relationship with the client, I would have been scrambling to figure out, okay, what's going on now? But we were able to take care of it, I would say, within 20 minutes and get the speed right to where it needed to be.
Yep.
So,
what other questions you got, sir?
Well, the other thing is that, as you point out, regular maintenance is way more cost effective than fixing the problems. Mm. And we're a little bit like an insurance policy at Breezy Sites. Mm. And of course, we do the cool stuff too. We'll build a brand new website. We'll do all of the design. But that market is completely saturated. The people that are willing to just do the hard, mundane, must be done tasks. I mean, that's where we're reaching out to people. Is we want to have your back, look at your website every week, make sure it's up and running, make sure that it's current. Because if you ignore it, as Savannah pointed out, because I say this a lot, it's just like changing the oil in your car or checking a plane before you fly. The pilots walk around the thing, right? And they check everything. Because, if you don't do the maintenance, there's a really good chance you could get stranded or crash and burn. And it's embarrassing.
I think you referred to it as insurance. One of my clients recently is a really good insurance provider in Cincinnati. And one thing he was telling me is, sometimes it's hard for people to purchase something that, nobody wants to purchase insurance. A lot of times they don't know what they're paying for. I tell you what, when your roof caves in, all of a sudden you're like, where's my insurance? I hope that
where's the policy?
Where's my policy? Or like we were just talking about health insurance. It's like, it's like you don't think about it until something happens. And so, there's one thing just to think about health when it goes bad or the insurance that you need. But it's another thing, Savannah, because her husband's a coach, but a lot of times it's like, how do I stay proactive? How do I start eating the right things and doing the right things that I know that's going to keep the site healthy? And for, if anybody's kind of rolling their eyes, it's like, it's one of those things that it's like, you don't know you need it until you need it. And so what I recommend a lot of times is not to stay healthy, but also start doing things like, I'm going to start building specific stories to specific audience members. And then I'm going to have blog posts that are related around those audience members, and they're going to lead to lead magnets, and they're going to the whole marketing flow. When you have all these people that are currently working on a marketing on an ongoing plan, when you have that, there's a lot of possibilities that happen. When you don't have that, you have to do things like, well, I guess we'll just post quotes, or I guess we'll just post some things that we have, as opposed to being able to say, here's an excellent piece of content, and here's how we're going to lead people through our site directly to it. That's how you get a lead.
Well, guys, this is our time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I live with a therapist. I guess I probably used that that phrase.
Our time's up.
I think our time's up for this week. Any closing thoughts?
If you don't think that you need website maintenance because your website isn't that important for your business, you're wrong. And I don't care what your industry is, what your business is. We are in an era where it is essential. Period. Full stop. That's all there is to it. So if a website is essential for every single business to be able to exist, or organization to be able to exist, then website maintenance is essential as well. So that's 2 cents.
I would say, don't think that every time you change your website, you need a new website. You start thinking in terms of improvement. What is the user behavior? How am I going to change it over time?
That's cheaper too, by the way.
It's cheaper too. Absolutely.
It's way cheaper.
So anyway, my final one is that it's always really good to have a mechanic that you know and trust. It's always really good to have a favorite restaurant where they know you. While we're not as we're not as casual as a restaurant, or we're not as important necessarily as your car, and because it protects your life. It's really good to know and have someone that you can trust to be into your computer and fixing things for you when you need them. So I hope you all come out and visit www.thebreezycompany.co, not .com, .co, and click on the Breezy sites and find out more about what minutes. You got it. A little Cal Worthington there.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Marketing on the Move. If you're looking for more ways to improve your marketing and build a scalable system to help your business grow, check out thebreezycompany.co or any of the resources linked in today's show notes.